your thought on interest?
On interest?
Yeah, because
Okay.
one of my concerns about like using the model, the North Dakota model, is, from what I understand, any interest whatsoever creates an insolvent system where it has to grow in order to just maintain. Even if you use that interest for good things, it still seems like a bad idea to me. Have you thought about that? Or
I thought about it a lot. It's a great question. It's something that has been kicked around quite a lot. And I think most of the people in the public banking movement know that interest is the problem. However, it becomes an extremely minor problem if the interest is paid back to you. So that's why the Bank of North Dakota has turned North Dakota into a boon state, because the interest recycles through the state. So you can see, in answering your question, you can see why interest going out to someone else, like Wall Street or China or someplace, is much more harmful than interest recycling through your own state. So essentially, North Dakota is lending money to itself and collecting the interest that way.
And I agree, it's certainly better than what we have. But I'm just saying, at a certain point, you've built into the system infinite growth.
Yes, and that's bad.
Right.
And we are facing a no-growth economy.
Right.
So I'm not suggesting that.
I mean, a negative interest even sounds more.
Demurrage. Yeah, that's the word for that is demurrage. And historically, there have been very positive uses of negative interest, and I don't have any objection to that, used properly, used effectively, and so no, you're right to bring up the question of interest, because it's not the debt that's the problem; it's the interest on the debt that's the problem, and that is what takes 40 cents out of every dollar. For your listeners who don't know this, on an average, every dollar you spend, 40 cents of it is going to some form of debt, to cover some form of debt, whether it be deliberate, like your mortgage, or whether it's the mortgage that the hardware store holds, or whether it's taxes or fees or all that kind of thing. That's to cover debt. So you're right, that the interest on the debt is taking 40 cents out of every dollar you pay. But if that debt is entirely generated locally, then it's not quite as burdensome, even though we are facing a no-growth economy where we're going to have to address that. We can't avoid that question forever.
It seems to me like it'd be smart to address it right now as we're laying the foundation of a future system. Why not just go ahead and recognize that is going to hit a brick wall at some point. It's, the growth the growth is eventually going to outpace the community's need for growth.
Yes.
And the planet's ability for growth.
Well, some people look at growth not in the traditional sense, that you need to cut more trees, you need to till more land, there are other kinds of growth. And use of solar, for example, the growth of the solar industry is not a growth of exploitation of the planet to such an extent. I mean, obviously they're using a fair amount of the planet to put together the solar equipment, but you know what I mean. That the growth industry in the future is going to be how to build energy neutral houses. So that kind of an investment now, even if you're paying interest, is well worth the interest that you are paying, unless you're pissing it away.